Many people will think my life is unnecessarily inefficient, lonely, and perhaps somewhat primitive. And before I moved here, I probably would have thought the same. I live in an old Swedish house, which I bought almost 2 years ago. It was falling apart a little bit, so I've been renovating it ever since. The house has electricity, but everything else is unfamiliar. I have a water pump in the garden which connects to the one tap in the kitchen. I have an outhouse at the back of the plot and an outdoor shower for which I fill up numerous buckets of water every time I use it. My waste pipes freeze during winter and I have to collect the water underneath the sink and throw it out several times a day. I would have never known that people live like this, and in modern countries as well. And even though my setup isn't the norm, I'm not the only one living like this. And I'm certainly not living in the most basic conditions, even though it's a world apart from what I know. So why am I here? What is it that I get out of living under these circumstances, tucked away in the woods without even seeing or speaking to another soul for weeks on end? There was a snowstorm and it's turned into rain, and now it's just raining for the rest of the day. Goodness. And it's my one day of going to the grocery store to pick up food, and I can't take the bicycle because it's too snowy and icy, and I am just going to walk. It's like 13 kilometers or something to walk into town in the rain. I mean, I thought it would be a fun adventure because I thought it was going to be snowing, and now it's just miserable. Get some food, and I have to pick up a package today, which is why I have to go. I might be able to take a bus on the way back, so I don't have to walk that much. So we'll see. So it's still raining. I mean, it's gonna rain all day, and you know what, it's okay. I'm wet, I'm soaked. Sometimes you just need some fresh air. That day is clearly today. I'm sort of getting close to town now. I'm kind of on the outskirts. I am so hungry. I'm so unbelievably hungry. I think I'm going to buy all the pastries and eat them. And then, hopefully, I can partially take a bus home. This is miserable. Absolutely miserable. Did my shopping and found there was a bus to take me halfway home. Bus didn't come. Waited another hour, getting cold. Bus came. And now I'm walking back and it's just slosh. Everything is slosh, and my bags are so heavy. Oh my goodness. This is awful. Look, I did not grow up dreaming of a life without a flushing toilet, and I would barely have known that this was a reality for so many people if I hadn't changed everything and moved down here. And really, it's quite interesting that you never really know that another kind of life exists until you are confronted with it yourself. And you might think that, you know, this is old-fashioned or unsanitary or just too much work. You know, if all you know is to compare it to your own flushing toilet existence, where you have a coffee shop around, you know, every corner of every street. which is quite nice, by the way. I think it's just that naturally most people assume that what they know and what they have experienced is the norm for everybody. So I made a choice to step away from that. I moved to a forest in a strange country alone and took on a somewhat silly task of renovating a house. You could say the odds are against me. I have no experience renovating or doing any DIY. I don't have a car or a driving license, and I don't have a partner to do it with. I could have waited for all those things, but by then I may have missed the opportunity altogether, so I figured, why wait? I wish I could go back to pick up more building materials, but road conditions definitely don't allow for this. Now that I've started the ceiling and I know where the ceiling starts, I can actually do more for the interior. What I'm first going to do is actually cut short this bit of wall. So this wall happens to have a stud right here, and I'm going to try and get as close as possible to this stud. The reality is, daily life is often boring. We're on autopilot. Every workday is the same, every weekend is the same. Our eyes are tired from looking at screens all day, and we're mentally exhausted from everything else. When I realized I could work remotely, I decided it was my opportunity to try something else, and really, if it all failed, I could always go back to what I was doing before. And at the very least, I'd had an interesting life experience behind me. And that's how I came to live without a flushing toilet. Actually, I just found a better way to do it. I'm just taking out these nails on the wrong side. From the back side. Because the heads are so tiny and it doesn't damage the timber. But I truly don't mind not having any of these luxuries. And I actually like having to adjust according to the circumstances, to the weather. Like, it makes me feel really aware of the things that I'm doing and the choice that I have. It makes me feel very aware of the things that I do on a daily basis. And I guess it keeps me connected just to the moment. I mean, I've never noticed how much the weather really changes beyond being able to sit in a park and feeling the sun on your face. But now I notice that my pipes are thawing and I don't have to throw out buckets of water anymore, and I don't have to quickly dash into the woods to go pee. I can take my time. The world around me is making me aware of all of these choices that I make. It's like my daily activities change, and being so aware of this change makes me aware of the life that I'm living, and it shows me the choices that I have and that I make on a daily basis. Okay, now that I've got the height of that in, I'm going to start working on this feature wall. I hate that word, feature wall. I am going to put in this paneling board and batten, and I'm going to use offcuts. I have all of this MDF left from joinery I was making in the house. They're all small pieces, so I have to cut them to size. So that's my mission for today, to make a board and batten wall back here, which I think would be really cute. The bed will be here. It will be like a cozy corner. This thing is really starting to annoy me. It's just like this huge bit of wall, but I might want to use these bits of multiplex at some point. Maybe I should just put it in the shed. Let's try and do that first. One of the more useful things out here would probably be a car, but I still haven't prioritized getting one. Apart from the cost, a vehicle completely changes the reality of living tucked away in the countryside. Suddenly, those long cycling trips to pick up food in the nearest town are no longer required. All you need to do is jump in a car and you're surrounded by people and shops and all the building supplies you could possibly want. It's awfully convenient and it completely takes away from the magic of living somewhere secluded. To me, the ease of a vehicle almost defeats the purpose of being here. Maybe I'm just too easily persuaded to spend my day in a coffee shop, but I enjoy forcing myself to take the slow route. It's time consuming and yes, it can get frustrating, but in the long run, I get so much more out of it. If I know my mental and physical abilities, then I can keep on challenging myself and push my boundaries. Being alone here allows me to do just that. This is freedom. Okay, I changed my mind. I have a much easier solution that doesn't require me taking small pieces of MDF and cutting them all to size to create long paneling detailing. I have all of these trims from the interior wall which I took out because it already has the timber end piece, so I'm going to use these. I've got this piece of timber left over which I used in the kitchen somewhere at one point. This is a slightly different size, different dimension, different piece of timber, but I don't think that's going to look too awkward. And I think I'll put that as the horizontal at the top. Oh, too tight. Why? Maybe you fit like this. Oh. Okay. I seem to have cut it to an old bit I marked. Oh, I feel so sorry for myself. Yes! 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 Okay. Yes. Oh, look. Yes. The other vertical one's going to be much smaller. Is this going to look silly? I think I'm deciding I don't really care if it does. Not to take away from this little renovation, but it's just a guest house. It's a very important guest house. I care, but I don't care. I care loads. I care too much, but I don't. See, this is the thing I've learned being a perfectionist. You have to just let it go. Be a perfectionist in like the one thing you're good at. And then just let it go, otherwise you're never gonna do anything. And at the end of the day, you're not even gonna look at it. You stop seeing these things, so. When I started hiking years ago, I had to learn how to do my research and how to recognize my skills and my limitations. And because of that, I learned to trust myself. You know, you learn to weigh the risk in each situation and you know what to do if things were to go bad. Last week I picked up building supplies with my bike and trailer. I cycled 70 kilometers and it took all day. I'm going to have to repeat this trip several times to get all the materials I need, and don't get me wrong, I do have friendly neighbors living in this area who I could ask for help, but I didn't come here to make my neighbors responsible for me not having a vehicle. That was a choice I made. And I can tell you one thing, the most fun I had recently was going on that insanely inefficient trip to pick up building materials by myself on my bike with a tiny trailer I wasn't quite sure would survive. What did I do? Alright, I cut them all to size and they have been sanded. I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna use little nails. That trip allowed me to see new things, explore new areas, and challenge myself. I accomplished something I wasn't quite sure I would, and with that, the world opens up just a little more. If I can do this, what else could I do? With every small battle, my outlook on life changes just a little bit. I get joy and pleasure from these adventures. They teach resilience and force me to find creative solutions. And this is how I grow. Okay, this is exciting because I'm painting again. And I got myself a really nice brush. So let's see what I did yesterday. Look at this wall paneling! I was so surprised that I actually managed to caulk everything. So I caulked all of this back wall, and then I also did some of this on this side. So my plan today is to paint this back wall, and when everything has been painted a few more times, I am going to see whether I will keep this color the way it is now, or whether I might want to change it and mix it with the white so it becomes a little bit lighter. Somehow I managed to completely oversee this corner, and I was supposed to smoothen out the caulk, so this is a mess. My joy in this forest comes from the freedom I give myself. To find a way of living that feels right to me, I truly love spending day after day alone, not seeing or talking to a single soul. I go into town every few weeks for food, and seeing a small dose of people around is enough excitement for me. Maybe it's because I spend so much time in London, and I've simply filled my quota of people for the time being. But relying on myself gives me a sense of achievement, as opposed to feeling like I'm part of the ferry ride everyone else is on as well. It makes me feel grounded, as opposed to social expectations and restrictions which feel suffocating and kill my creativity. But at the same time, it's difficult to escape. I moved into a forest, but I still have an online world. And it's pretty much impossible to escape society fully. Not that I really would want to, but you know, really leaving this modern world in, you know, and truly go off grid in like the old-fashioned sense of the world is impossible, because you can't just buy a plot and build something. There's building codes and building permissions and taxes to pay, and you just can't escape it. We all live our worlds in the public eye and online. You know, I never really thought I would be the type of person who would mind having my own devices track my every move, but ever since choosing to live sort of an alternative lifestyle, it started to really bother me. I honestly can say that I don't quite trust the powers that be or the people and companies that be to not at one point use all of this data in a restrictive way? So physically moving away from, society doesn't take you away from that connection that you have through the internet. But there is one thing that does help, and that would be NordVPN, who happens to be the sponsor of today's video. Now, the internet opens up the world, and without it, I may not know about people living differently from my own experience, and honestly, I may not be here. So while I love the internet for its resource, and I love it as a personal diary, I also want to be able to use it anonymously. So let's have a look at NordVPN and see how they can help us. It's their mission to keep your online world safe from online threats, censorship and surveillance, which I think is going to be more and more important. So what's a VPN? Very simply said, a VPN is a virtual private network. Basically what it means is that when you're on the internet, you click a button that makes the internet think that you are a different person using a different computer. It means that everything you do cannot be tracked anymore. So in daily life, that means that you will be able to go on the internet, check plane tickets every day of the week without seeing the prices increase every day. But NordVPN has a few more features that will actively protect you from online threats. Their threat protection feature protects you from malware and trackers, and their dark web monitor lets you know when your personal data has been leaked. So when you've been using the same password for a couple of different websites where you buy your books and your fabrics and your organic dishwashing soap, and you've created user accounts and they've been a little bit lax with their security, they get hacked, then that means that those hackers might end up having quite easy access to more sensitive information. One NordVPN membership gives you protection for 6 devices. They have dedicated apps for every one of them, and there is a 30-day money-back guarantee. And they also have a password manager and secure online cloud storage. So that's lots of goodies for everybody. So check out NordVPN, use the link in my description, because if you use my specific promo code WildRosie, you will receive a bonus on top of your subscription. So have a look at it, and thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring today's video. We like you. We like NordVPN. I've been here almost 2 years now, and this renovation is going to take a while longer. And even though I love being here alone, the reality of this project and this life isn't always easy. There are so many things that I would want to do but don't have the time for. I'm often stuck in a loop of always being busy but never feeling as though I've actually been productive. I guess it's just this modern mentality that is still ingrained in me. This is when those unexpected trips or adventures that don't make any sense change everything. Cycling to a hardware store or spending an entire day sewing one top. Things that appear to be the least productive actually make me feel the most productive. I feel accomplished. In the mess of an ongoing home renovation with no end in sight, I created something, I achieved something. Giving myself the freedom to slow down finally made me feel like I moved forward. I'm hoping that as time and projects progress, I will find more moments of joy, of peace with my current situation. Honestly, I don't find it all too difficult to embrace the past and let it go, and to throw myself into something new. But it's time for me to find freedom in the now. I'm here to face this challenge I gave myself, and to roll with the punches, to live, to create, and to find solutions. I guess I'm slowly learning how I want to live my life and allow myself to move in this direction, naturally as life unfolds. I will be here in the forest for a while, and perhaps I will finally turn into the hermit I always knew I could be.